Hurricane Sally has weakened to a tropical depression as it moves across the south, but it's still threatening to bring potentially devastating rainfall and flooding to several states. Sally hit the Gulf Coast yesterday as a Category 2 hurricane. Some areas saw up to 30 inches of rain, transforming streets into rivers. The storm tore roofs off buildings and knocked out power for hundreds of thousands of residents. At least one person has died and another is missing. Nancy Chen has more.
Sally packed 105-mile-per-hour winds when it made landfall near Gulf Shores, Alabama yesterday morning.
We have a large tree. We heard it kapow. It was like a gun going off, and needless to say, we didn't sleep very well.
The destruction was widespread throughout southern Alabama and along the Florida Panhandle.
Everything destroyed, trees everywhere.
The Category 2 hurricane sank boats or tossed them onto land. It tipped over trucks, ripped the sides off buildings, and left behind endless trails of debris.
We started hearing all of our windows start to pop. Part of the roof started coming off and siding was ripping.
Richard Franzen's home survived, but the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in his backyard did not.
It's underwater. I lost some of my friends in Vietnam, but it's gone.
Heavy, relentless rain has left roads like these impassable. Officials here in Florida say it may be days before the floodwaters fully recede.
Be very, very careful. It is hazardous.
Governor Ron DeSantis says there have been hundreds of search and rescue missions already.
It's a lot more water than I think I expected. I really didn't think we were going to get this much.
Some in Panama City are tired of picking the pieces back up.
Everybody's on this little corner is just about to their wits' end. People are actually wanting to sell and leave.
After making landfall, Sally diminished to a tropical depression and is now drenching more of the southeast with its heavy rainfall. Nancy Chen, CBS News, Fort Walton Beach, Florida.
All right, so CBS News meteorologist and climate specialist Jeff Berardelli has been tracking the storm for us. You probably didn't see that video, that story, Jeff, but that image of the for sale sign, like up to the almost sort of to the middle of it in water, I think just tells the tale of what these people have been going through. Talk about, you know, your house underwater, probably literally and in some ways probably figuratively for some people. Where is the storm and where is it headed next?
All right, so the storm is moving inland and it is weakened a lot. It's a lot weaker. It's moving a lot faster, which is good news. So the rainfall totals of 2+ feet are not going to happen again in places like the Carolinas or, you know, north into Virginia as the system kind of moves northeast. But you can see it's weakening. Watch out on the east side. There are going to be some very kind of quick moving tornadoes. It always happens with landfalling tropical systems. So just be on the lookout for any alerts that come out. This is how much rain we've seen over the past 48 hours, and it's astounding. Anywhere in the black, that's over 2 feet. And there are some places inside there where we've had more than 2 feet of rainfall, so close to 30 inches in some places. This is a look at future radar, so watch as we go. It's going to be making its way through South Carolina, North Carolina. The eastern side may have some tornadoes, but you know, it'll all be gone during the day tomorrow. All of it kind of moving out to sea, which is good news. How much extra rain are we going to see? Maybe as much as about 8 inches, but generally speaking, about 4 to 6 inches. That could cause flash flooding. It may not be 2 feet, but 4 to 6 happening, you know, really, really fast. That can cause some flash flooding, so just be aware of that. Also, a lot of big rivers are flooding down there. You saw in some of that video. So major flooding is happening on about a dozen rivers in the area. Not quite historic, but very close to breaking records in the southeast. So that's something that we should be aware of.
So as you noted, the storm was downgraded to a tropical depression Wednesday. Can it still cause any damage?
Yeah, so I do think, like I said, there's going to be a few tornadoes today. I do think there's still going to be some flash flooding across the Carolinas. But I think, you know, the damage is kind of winding down. It's going to be nothing like we saw along the Florida Panhandle coast.
So as you mentioned before, we are rapidly working our way through the alphabet here, and Hurricane Teddy is strengthened, or it has strengthened to a Category 2. What's next for Hurricane Teddy? Could it get any stronger?
All right, so yeah, we're going to talk all about the Atlantic right now. So first, yeah, like you mentioned, we're working our way through the alphabet. We only have one letter left. That's W. That'll be Wilfred, and we think that could form today. And believe it or not, it could form in the southwest Gulf of Mexico. I'll show you that in a second or two. But as you mentioned, you know, we're about 3 weeks or so ahead of record pace, and we're going to have to break out the Greek alphabet. I'd say maybe starting this weekend or early next week, we'll probably see Alpha. That's how quickly we're kind of running through names. All right, so let's talk about the other activity. So that is Sally kind of moving away from the United States, still over the southeast, but will be doing so later tonight and tomorrow. That is going to be Wilford, and I got to tell you, there is a chance that this could impact the Gulf Coast. Right now, the computer models are not certain. Some of them bringing it into Mexico. Some of them just kind of lingering it out in the Gulf for about 5, 6, 7 days. Some of them bringing it into Texas. Other ones I've seen have brought it into the Gulf Coast. So it's too early to know, but this is the next thing that is on our radar, so to speak. Further out in the Atlantic Ocean, you mentioned Teddy. So there is Teddy. It's a Cat 2. Forecast to become a Cat 3. Now, you know, some of the models indicated doing something like Hurricane Sandy did many, many years ago, back in 2012, which is that a storm system will kind of come along, try to capture it, and turn the track into New England. Although most of the models are either far northeast Maine or into Nova Scotia. So that's the way it stands now. Could it be further west into the rest of New England? It's possible. So it's something we need to watch extraordinarily closely over the next 6 to 7 days. This is the day 5 end of the cone, so that would be like 6 days from now if it gets captured by a storm and kind of brought backwards, retrogrades towards the coast. Elsewhere we have Vicky. There's the possibility of Alpha, and then behind that the possibility of Beta. So things are really, really active, as you can see, and this one could be a major problem, but it remains to be seen. Just early indications are somewhere near there, but it's possible they may trend further east, and that's what we're hoping for.
Jeff, before I let you go, I want to ask you about sort of Mother Nature wreaking havoc on the West Coast and all the fires, but the impact that it's having here on the East Coast. I had heard something, and you're an expert, so I want to know if it's right. Here on the East Coast, the temperatures have really dropped. It sort of felt like it went from summer to fall in like 24 hours. And I had heard that that's because of the fires happening on the West Coast. Is that true?
So yes, it does reduce sunlight, and it does reduce temperatures a little bit. It's not going to make it feel like winter or anything like that, but it'll drop but it does drop the temperatures a couple of degrees. But some of this smoke is headed for northern Europe over the next 5 to 7 days. So everything's connected. The smoke that's across the West Coast dims our sunlight, gives us interesting sunsets around here, makes it more hazy. But then it just continues on the jet stream, and it's going to be headed towards places like Ireland and eventually towards Sweden, places like that, believe it or not.
Yeah, a good reminder that we are all interconnected. Whatever we do, it's the butterfly effect, right?
Yes,
whatever happens here affects something somewhere else.
Right.
Hey, Jeff, thank you so much.